We join the X-Men as Professor Xavier has gathered them all together. Congratulating them all for their performance on Krakoa, he begins talking of their future when Sunfire interrupts, saying it will be without him. Confused, Shiro tells that he only agreed to help them once and that his duty is to his own country and couldn't care less of the X-Men when the professor turns and asks the others if they feel the same. Colossus is unsure while Storm is still interested in the team along with Wolverine. As Sunfire leaves, he warns that if they ever need his help, that he will refuse. Turning to Sean Cassidy, he asks the same, and though he likes it, he's unsure due to his age and debates moving on, when Charles poses that the younger members are simply too much of a challenge for him. Not one for refusing a challenge, Cyclops chimes in saying that he'd finally belong, which entices Banshee. Convinced, he agrees to stay, and thinking he's finished, Angel interrupts and, hesitant, informs the professor that the older X-Men of the team are going to be leaving. Charles is shocked at this development when Jean steps forward explaining that he took them in and taught them to realize their potential and that they've grown and want to live their own lives. Wolverine cuts in though, telling them to simply leave if they want and to spare the drama. Angered at Wolverine's outburst, Iceman threatens him, but the Canadian isn't fazed just as Cyclops gets between them, shouting for them to stop and that Wolverine is out of line and if he wants to fight, he'll go any time. Havoc then speaks up, asking what his brother is going to do, though Scott is unsure himself. Thinking on it through the night, he despairs as he comes to the conclusion that he's the one member who can't hide his ability, lest he accidentally kills someone. The next morning, as the others prepare to depart, Jean sees that Scott is still in costume, as he tells her that he's staying, though she hoped otherwise. Telling her that he belongs there and that he doesn't want to lose her, confesses his love, which she returns and leaves him all alone. The new team see the old off and Cyclops tells the others that it's time to learn about being an X-Man. Hurting them inside, he shows them the danger room of how it will help develop their skills to survive. Opening the door, Storm sees the room is empty as Scott tells them that all they have to do is cross the room. Arrogant and confident, Thunderbird heads inside, and the room activates, surprising him as he's thrown bodily from the area. Over the course of the following weeks, the heroes train as hard as possible, with Cyclops keeping them going when they begin to wear down and debate throwing in the towel. Slowly, though, the group are forged into a functioning team. However, even they have their limits, as one day Thunderbird makes a mistake and takes a nasty burn from a laser. Banshee moves to help him, but John angrily brushes him off, trying to convince him that he's okay, when Cyclops berates him, warning that he's not fine and that his carelessness could get them all killed. Angry, Proudstar threatens to fight the leader when Charles interrupts them, instructing the Apache to go to the infirmary and Cyclops to his office. Far away, at a mountain known as Valhalla in Colorado, lies the base for the North American Air Defense, or NORAD. Inside, safe from any attack, is the War Room, where a man is busy delivering the mail to everyone, and one of the recipients is surprised, as he wasn't expecting anything. Confused, the man opens it to find a device telling him to press it, and thinking it a joke from his coworkers, presses the button and it glows. A hole rips open in the air, and 5 humanoid creatures quickly make their way through. Making short work of the unarmed men, someone manages to call security and they quickly arrive and surround the invading force. Before they can act though, the Gorilla Man quickly tears through them when a voice congratulates them, calling them his Animen, and the woman, Dragonfly, wants to know who's talking. The one called Croaker reveals that it's their lord and master, Count Nefaria, who reminds them that only he can return them to being human. Glad his plan is going well, one of the Animen is curious as to how they'll hold off the army surrounding them when the Count merely presses a button releasing an anesthetic gas, knocking everyone out. With them being the only conscious ones left in the base, Nefaria thinks of how he had managed to escape prison and using his contacts in the Mafia was able to use science to enhance the 5 allies of his into something more, and that now they'll be able to ransom the world. As his plan begins, we turn to Cyclops as he broods over the cost of having been leader of the X-Men when Kurt Wagner enters. Concerned about Scott's earlier fight, the leader confesses that it did upset him as he was responsible for them both and John still got hurt. Before he can continue, Xavier calls them to the briefing room as Kurt comments how he'll never get used to Xavier appearing like that. As they reach their destination, they find Count Nefaria on the screen. Explaining that he's activated the Doomsmith system, he's demanded a ransom from each country on Earth under threat of launching America's nuclear missiles and giving a 3-hour deadline. Beast then appears on screen, having gotten in contact with Charles, and is curious as to the whereabouts of the X-Men, but Xavier says that they're present and to continue, as Hank says that the Avengers are unable to take the mission right now. Ready to go, Cyclops orders Thunderbird to stay behind due to his injury, but John refuses to comply and is told that there's no time to argue, and they all board the jet, heading out to face the Count. Inside, Wolverine is worried for some friends at the base and threatens to slice Nefaria up if they're hurt, to which Banshee is hoping that he's joking when Cyclops spots trouble in the form of the Air Force. The lead jet informs them that they're in restricted airspace, and upon learning that the X-Men are responding to the Avengers' call, are told to contact General Fredericks. Calling him on the monitor, Cyclops says that they're replacing the Avengers, as Fredericks mutters that he doesn't trust the mutants, and then informs them the Count has armed the defensive system and the Doomsmith system. He explains that the system gives control of US missiles and that it can't be cancelled after a certain time, causing the missiles to fire regardless of deactivation, and that they only have 52 minutes. Inside the base, Dragonfly spots an incoming craft as Count Nefaria moves to check it, finding that it belongs to the X-Men, and is ecstatic as he begins pressing buttons while outside, a barrage of projectiles launch. Seeing the oncoming attack, Cyclops begins a series of maneuvers to try to lose them as he flies down close to the tree line below in a desperate bid to destroy one of the missiles, which pays off. However, Wolverine spots that one survived as it makes contact with the Blackbird, and Scott loses control, yelling for everyone to hang on. Struggling to hit the eject button, he manages and the cockpit detaches from the main jet, and the leader hopes that the destroyed wreckage will trick Nefaria into believing that they're dead. In the base, however, the villain knows that they've lived as he slams a button activating a sonic disruptor that strikes the cockpit, causing it to disappear, leaving the X-Men in free fall.